If you can set aside an area just for your workspace, it will help to separate your work life from your personal life. Hi everyone, it's interior designer Carol Gilman. Let's discover interior design. In this video, I'm going to give you some ideas of things you can do to help make your workspace at your home work better for you. One of the first things that you can try is when you have a workspace or your work from home area in your home, in a room that has different functions going on in it. Say an open concept room where you have a living room area, dining room area, and maybe a kitchen. And when you can have your workplace area in its own separate little zone, it really does help to separate the work area from your personal life. And it does this because you can visually see that that's where the workplace area is. And also that you can also get a sense psychologically that that area is for work and the other areas in that room are for personal life and everything outside of work. So when you separate that area from other areas, just like your living room space is in its own zone, when you place your workspace area in its own zone, it really does create a sense of a separate area, a separate sense and a separateness between your work life and your personal life. And if you want to create a sense that that area is a separate area rugs or chair mats are a great way of doing that because they bring everything together in that area as well as kind of define the parameters of that zone. When you do have everything set up in one area just for your work, as you would in a living room area, just all the living room area furniture in one area, it really does create a sense of calmness because we can see that that area is set up for a specific type of function, and that helps us feel better knowing that everything for work is over in one area and all of the other areas and zones in that room are set up for different purposes. And another thing that's important when we work from home is to remember the importance of routines and transitions. So having a routine that transitions into the evening when you stop working and you start going into your personal time. Have a nice routine where maybe you turn off your lamp and you put everything in storage that doesn't need to be out, and everything is clutter-free on your worktop. Then in the morning, that transition between personal time and work time is where you can bring things out of storage that you're going to work on that day and turn on your lamp or change out the flower that's in the vase on your desk. Anything to provide a routine to those important transitions helps us move from one part of our life to the other in a more seamless way. And if the layout of your desk and chair, for example, don't seem to be working very well, there are a couple things that you can look at to make some adjustments. One thing is if you have your desk out from a wall, so you have the wall behind you, think of how much space you need for that chair to be comfortable. Make sure you have plenty of room to be able to pull out that chair so that you can easily get in the chair. Measure how much space that is. And if you can, add another 12 inches or 30.48 centimeters to that space for clearance. If your desk is up against the wall and you are looking at a wall, or maybe it's up at a window, make sure that there's plenty of space behind you while you're sitting in that chair in case someone would need to walk behind you. That's where you would pull out your chair and measure how much space that is. But leave another 36 inches or 91.44 centimeters behind where your chair stops so that there's plenty of area for a walkway for someone to easily walk behind you. If you notice that you don't seem to have enough lighting, or maybe the type of lighting you have is the wrong kind, then there are a couple things that you can think about. In a home office, there are a couple of types of lighting that you may want to have in that area. One of them is just overall lighting. Lots of times that may be lighting that you have overhead. We'll call it overhead lighting. And that may be just a light fixture in the center of your ceiling. Or maybe you even have recessed cans that shine down and spread out into the room. And when you have that type of lighting, that's good because that adds to the overall lighting of that room and also to your workplace area. But if you don't have any sort of overhead lighting, one thing to think about is maybe to have a floor lamp next to your desk. That would have some lighting coming out through the bottom of a shade and also through the top to add some nice reflective light on the walls and reflective light around your desk area. The other thing that you may want to think about is if you have to do any sort of detail work where maybe you need to read some paperwork. That's where you want to have what we call a task lamp, where it provides very focused light on just a certain area on your desk. And if you don't have enough lighting, is there somewhere in the room where you could place your workspace closer to a window, maybe in front of the window or next to the window, to help get some natural lighting, at least during the day? And another area to look at is if you participate in video calls and you notice that maybe the background that you have when you are on those calls needs a little extra help. Here are a couple ideas for you to help create a better looking background. One thing to keep in mind when we are on video calls is that we are basically the focal area, the focal point of those calls. And anything we put in the background needs to not be distracting or needs to not take away from us as being the focal area. That means creating a very simplified, minimal background. Depending on where your desk is and taking some time to test things out before you have these video calls is really helpful. One thing that I always kind of start with is having nothing on the wall, starting with a blank slate and either keeping it that way or bringing in one or two other items. This is where you can maybe bring in a shelf or place one piece of art on the wall, but something that is very minimal. If you have your desk up against a wall and in the background is the rest of your room, maybe someone sees the kitchen over at the other end or the living room area, go back to creating the most minimal look that you can. Something that is clutter-free. Really minimize what accessories and different types of smaller items that you may have in your kitchen or in your living room area. And you can certainly turn on some nice soft lighting in the background, a nice table lamp or floor lamp, or maybe you have some dimmable lights in the kitchen just to add some nice soft calming background light. You can also use a room divider to block out the background. That can be easily folded up and put away when not in use. While you are on your laptop or on your computer and testing out what the background looks like, also take notice of the lighting. One thing that we want to make sure that we do when we are on video calls is to have nice, pleasant light. And if you have a lot of lighting that is coming down from the ceiling, that's going to cast a lot of shadows and may not be the most flattering. One thing to think about is bringing in other types of lighting that will kind of balance out those types of shadows. If you notice that you don't have enough storage for everything, then it's a great time to think about what type of storage would really help you out. One thing to think about is having both open and closed storage. Open storage can mean anything from desk accessories like pencil and pen holders, but it also can mean maybe a bin or a tray where you place papers or folders. Closed storage could be everything from drawers to a cabinet or bins or baskets that you could have on a shelf or on your desk. It could also mean organizational type of storage, such as a place to organize all of the different cables that you may be using. And if space is really limited, look for furniture and other types of accessories that provide storage as well. When you don't have room to add more storage to your workplace area, maybe it's very limited and you only have room for a desk and chair, or maybe you work from your dining room table every day and you need to be able to grab everything and put everything away for the day. Well, look in your home, look in that room. Where else can you designate a storage area just for your work stuff? Is there a cabinet in your kitchen, or is there one side of your TV console cabinet where you could just place all of your work things so that at the end of the day, everything is put away? Or maybe use those areas that are not right at your workplace area for things that you don't need to access all of the time. One great example of this was a video I saw by YouTuber Katie Steckly, and she showed how she designates a cabinet or one side of a cabinet where she places all of her recording equipment. Because in her setup, in her living room area, she does have a desk where she has her workspace area, but there isn't room next to that desk to place a shelf or even a storage cabinet. So she uses part of their cabinet where they have their TV and that whole entertainment area as a storage place for all her recording equipment. And if you want to check out that video, I'll leave the link to her video in this video's description. And if your workspace area is in a shared function room, say an open concept room where we have a living room area and a dining room area and maybe a kitchen, but your workspace area kind of looks out of place and doesn't seem to be fitting in with the rest of the room, well, there are a couple things you can do to help create a more cohesive look. One thing is just to remember that our workplace area zone that we have is part of this entire room. This is where we can think about our design style and choosing furniture that is in that design style, choosing colors that are the colors that we're using in that room, and choosing materials and finishes that would make sense whether they were in a work area or some other area in the room. There is the use of repetition where we're bringing in similar colors and finishes and using the design style that we like so that that work area doesn't look and feel out of place. It's its own area, just like the living room area is its own area. But overall, as a room, everything looks unified. That's where maybe you could place a beautiful piece of artwork over your workplace area. This is where you could use a lamp that you not only use during the workday, but you use it at night to help bring a nice ambient light to the room. It's where when you choose storage or desk accessories or anything else that goes into that workplace area, it all reflects your design style. And that's where maybe you choose a fun accent color for the upholstery of your desk chair. All of those little details help to bring that entire space together, but also at the same time help to create a more welcoming and more pleasant place for you to work. So I'd love to find out from you, what are your ideas or what have you done to help improve your work from home space in your home? So please share your ideas in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.